Good afternoon, collectors and friends. Welcome to Trading Card Therapy, episode number 121. Today's episode is sponsored by AuctionWire. AuctionWire is the best way to search for the sports cards that we all love, whether it be you're collecting for fun or investment or anywhere in between. Check it out at auctionwire.ai. If you've ever used Google or Kayak or any search service like that, it's the best way to search for sports cards. And if you don't believe me, come along for a free trial. But that's what we'll be talking about today on this episode of Trading Card Therapy. Before we bring on my good friend and co-founder of AuctionWire, Marc Mandel, I wanted to show off a particular card that I bought recently from a good buddy of mine's auction. His name is Al. His auction is Love of the Game. You can check it out at loveofthegameauctions.com. He runs a fantastic auction, primarily focused on vintage and even more specifically, like great turn of the century baseball, some really obscure and rare stuff. I was able to secure, it's a T206 signed Rube Marquard pitching variation. However, it's not just signed by Rube, but it's also with a Hall of Fame inscription. And, I've been collecting signed cards for a long time. I don't know of that many, first of all, T206 Hall of Famers that are signed. And of the ones that are signed, I've never really seen any with an inscription, or virtually any. So really excited to pick that up for my collection. Let's see if this will show off well. Oh yeah, so it's not too, all right, so we'll show this off another time. Oh yeah, not so bad. So I just made a big trade with someone from our community. They saw this 1939 play ball Ted Williams rookie card that we recently had up for sale. In a video, we were showing it off. We didn't even put it out for sale yet, actually. And they reached out and we did a trade. And it's what we were talking about recently, I think, on a different podcast, where you take some of the cards that have gone up in your collection but no longer serve a purpose. And we just made a trade, this whole stack, including that really nice 52 Bowman Mantle, for that Teddy Ballgame rookie. So now is the time to try to maybe consolidate as prices have gone up on a lot of vintage cards. Maybe you can use that price increase from some of the cards you don't care as much about anymore to roll that into a bigger card like my buddy Jim did. So without further ado, we're now going to bring on Mark. Mark, you hear me all right?
Hey, Leighton. Good to hear you.
Yeah, good to hear you as well. Appreciate you coming on today. Wow, nice shirt.
I got the official uniform.
Yeah, I have a variation of it.
Yeah, you have the one. You have the short print.
Yeah, exactly. I have the short print. I like the way you put that. So before we get started and talk about anything AuctionWire, Mark, why don't you introduce yourself and tell people kind of how you found this wonderful world of baseball cards?
Oh my God, where do I start? I mean, I'm a card nerd. I just love baseball cards. I'm a 61-year-old lifelong collector who started buying vintage baseball when I was 8 or 9 years old. So in the early 1970s, I was buying Gowdy Babe Ruth cards and Ty Cobb cards because I thought they were cooler than the stuff my friends were buying at the store. Very different financial situation back then for those cards than it is now. So I could actually, as a kid, take my allowance money or my paper route money and go buy a card. I would beg my folks to drive me to card shows that I would read about literally back then in the Trader Speaks or Sports Collectors Digest, and would go buy amazing cards. And unfortunately and sadly, for quite a while in my life, I turned 16 or 17, Leighton, I discovered that having a card collection was cool, but having a car was cooler. And I decided to sell a lot of my early collection, and I've spent much of my adult life trying to rebuild the collection from my childhood. And so I'm kind of picking it off a card at a time where I can. And it's been a journey. It's been on and off, a 50-year journey in cards.
It's incredible. I don't have as many years, but I certainly can appreciate your journey. And I'm glad that our paths crossed when they did.
Is that a nice way of calling me old?
I wouldn't say that. I would just say you have a little more experience. That's all.
There you go. I'm over-experienced in the card world.
Yeah, we're very experienced. It's a nicer way to put it.
There you go. It's good to be here. It's fun thinking about cards. I've been such a card guy, a passionate guy about cards, and I've never had another hobby. That's my thing. It's my jam, so to speak. It's my hobby.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to be on Trading Card Therapy today. We got lots to discuss with AuctionWire. But before we do, let's rewind to that very special episode of, I think it was probably Trading Card Therapy, where I was interviewing Derek Grady of Heritage, and you heard something that piqued your interest on my show.
Yep.
So I'll let you kind of take the story from there.
Oh my God, it's become folklore. I got to give the folks kind enough to listening to this show a little bit of the backstory just to make it contextual. In addition to being a card guy, I've been a technology guy most of my adult life. I've been a software company builder most of my life. I retired from having a regular job a couple of years back and really wanted to kind of hang it up and retire, but have kind of one last hurrah, so to speak, before I really gave up working. And I wanted to see, can I take my love of cards and my love of software and kind of put the two together somehow. And honestly, Leighton, I had absolutely no idea what that meant. I just sort of knew there was a thing in my head about software and cards, and I was going to figure it out later. And to your point, in my car, little over maybe a year and a quarter ago, little over a year ago, driving around listening to Trading Card Therapy, and you and Derek were having a conversation about all sorts of things about collecting. And you guys started to, toward the end of that conversation, broach into the topic of new ideas for the hobby. What do we think the hobby needs? Any new ideas? Any big missing things? And the conversation turned to that when Derek responded and said, Leighton, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, I worked at Heritage a long time, and I think Heritage is an awesome company. He said, but for my own collecting, I also want to buy at REA. I want to buy at Mile High. I want to buy at Memory Lane. I want to buy at Golden. I want to buy wherever the stuff that I want to buy pops up. And the level of effort that I have to put into keeping track of who's got what and when do they open and when do they close becomes a job. And he said, I really, really wish somebody would figure out a way to kind of tie it all together and give me a one-stop shop where I could go to one place at one time and figure out, who's selling what in the hobby across the entire litany of companies that I might want to shop at. And, I'm listening to you guys having this conversation about connecting those dots. And I'm in my car driving, and I literally almost crashed my car. I'm thinking, that's the thing. That's the thing that I want to do. I need that. I'm a collector, and I need that, because I'll tell you, Leighton, I spend an hour a night, 2 hours a night, literally with the laptop in front of the TV set in my living room, half watching TV, half surfing these websites, trying to find that next thing. And I know this is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a hobby. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of work. And I would really want to figure out a way to remove some of that work effort without removing the fun. Because at the end of the day, it's like the shirt says, it's still about the chase. And so the way I saw it, I needed to build that. And because it came from your show, I reached out to you and said, hey, let's talk. And let's figure out, can we do this together as partners and kind of get this thing that became AuctionWire off the ground? And so I owe you more credit than I can possibly imagine, because it was that conversation between you and Derek that formed the germ of this whole darn thing. And, a year and a quarter later, we're here.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tease you a little bit now about that experience you have and being a little bit older than me. And so you are right that I had a conversation with Derek. But we actually talked about this not that long ago, a few months ago. The only part that is a little bit different, you're talking about folklore and urban legends, is that when we were discussing that on our show, Derek and I were really talking about, I had posed to him, hey, what kind of technology are you looking for, to help you in the industry? And I don't recall exactly what answer he had given, but I know that I had led the discussion in regards to myself having this painstaking experience that you were alluding to, of sitting with my laptop in my living room on a daily basis, 60, 90, 120 minutes. And I'm like, it's fun, but yet it's a lot of work. And so it was that conversation, you're right, but it was a little bit in the other way, in the sense of it was something that I had. Remember, Mark, I don't have your background. So I had this dream of accomplishing this, but I certainly didn't have the ability to execute. It was more of like, I just, if you will, drawn screens, thought about what it could look like in a very archaic version. And now I see about a year later where we are, and I couldn't be any prouder, but obviously we're so far from those archaic drawings. But anyway, to get back to center, what's super cool is that our journey together, Mark, with AuctionWire really started out of a love for collecting.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm a collector first. And I can tell you that I have great admiration for the hobby and the community that we're all part of. And I'm building this, tool with you, Leighton, selfishly for you and me, right? Because, this is the tool that would help us. And I've said to you all along, if other people want to come along and check it out, awesome. And if they don't, okay too, because I'm building this for us as collectors and tools that would help us in our collecting. And honestly, people have come along and they have shown appreciation for what it is that we've built. But as collectors, we wanted to be able to not miss that next card, or that feeling in the morning when you wake up and you realize, boy, that auction closed last night and I forgot about it and I missed that card and I could have afforded it. I really wanted that card and it was the one I've been looking for. And now who knows when the next time one's going to come along like that. And I didn't want that feeling anymore. So building this thing with you allows us to make sure that we have a much better, clear understanding of who's doing what, when in the hobby across all these auction companies, across marketplaces, now soon even across private dealers, who's got what for sale and how do I not miss it? And really be able to do that with just that kind of this real-time perspective of what's for sale, what can I buy right now, and how much does it cost, how much should it cost, what are my options and alternatives, and the ability to really lock in on these good deals before somebody else gets the good deal and have kind of the advantage of technology in our corner.
Well, you have a lot wrapped up in there. And what I like to do, we should have talked beforehand, but I'm hoping, will you be able to, for example, for the next few minutes, I'd like to discuss how AuctionWire can actually help you. But instead of just discussing it, is it possible to show everyone on the screen?
Yeah, let me take a second to tee up a little demo, and I absolutely can do that.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's see how I could share my screen here, and I'll be more than happy to show the good folks here listening and watching what we're doing here.
Yeah, and as Mark is pulling it up, really the whole idea is, in terms of AuctionWire, that when you're searching for these cards, it's very cumbersome and burdensome to keep track of dozens and dozens of auction platforms. And as Mark alluded to, even some marketplaces, and we're about to onboard our first ever dealer inventory with Ash from Legacy Cards. So we're really excited about that. And as Mark is just finishing up, one of the other things I wanted to point out, and we're going to show you in a demo, is it's not just about what's available now and searching across those various platforms, but it's also about having universal watch list so that you don't have to comb 43 or 33 different sites, whatever the scoop is. So if you're looking for a rare shoeless Joe Jackson, or you need that last 67 tops high number for your set in a PSA 8, AuctionWire can do that work for you. So Mark, are you in a good spot now, you think?
Yeah, I just need you to allow me to share my screen with the viewers.
Okay, Mark, so we're back, and we now are sharing your screen of AuctionWire. And just to be clear, Mark, because I know we're going to talk about it at the end, but if someone was so inclined and they like what they're either seeing today or what they're listening to, and they enjoy what we're talking about, what is the code that they can use to go to AuctionWire to extend their free trial?
Leighton, what we should do for all of your followers is give them a nice long trial. So let's give folks on listening and watching Trading Card Therapy a full 2 months, 60 days to check out the site. And what we should do is let's give them the code of TCT. So for Trading Card Therapy, just TCT, and they'll get 60 days of absolutely no cost access to the system.
Well, I really like that, Mark, because what that's going to do for the Trading Card Therapy community, and for some of the folks from Just Collect who might be listening and watching this, is you can not take our word for it, but you can come along for the journey with us. And over that 60-day period, if for some reason or another you're not happy with it, you can always cancel anytime before. You won't be charged a thing. And you'll still get to see this really cool thing that we're building for the hobby. So without further ado, Mark, if you could take us through how they would log in and kind of what it looks like, at least from the initial first few screens.
Yep. So remember, as Leighton, as you said, the website is auctionwire.ai for artificial intelligence.ai. It's important. We're not auctionwire.com. That's a whole different business out there. Won't get into the details as to why, but we're good on that one. When you go to auctionwire.ai, you'll be able to see a login page. If you don't have an account already, you could just hit the big sign up button in the corner. And when you hit the sign up button, it's going to ask you for your name, your email address, and a promo code. So you put in the TCT promo code, and you'll be able to get into the system. It's going to ask you, Luke should call this out. It's going to ask you up front to enter a credit card. Although, as you called out, Leighton, that credit card's not going to be touched for the entire duration of the trial. So we have the credit card on file, safely stored away, but it's entirely free and without obligation to get into the trial. That said, I'm going to log into the system because I already have an account, and I'll show you around what we're going to see in the system. So I've logged into my account in the system, and you're going to see what looks like here, a search bar on the top of the screen here where I could type whatever I want to search for. And you're going to see a bunch of rows of cards and other types of collectibles down below. What really is cool about this, I'm going to really call out this top row of cards. And by the way, I'm going to scroll side to side so you can see it's more than just a few that are showing up. Sure. Is this top row is here for a very special reason. AuctionWire is built on an artificial intelligence or an AI system on the back of it. And one of the responsibilities of that AI system is to understand what it is that I collect and what's in my PC and what do I enjoy and who are the players I want to chase after and the types of cards. And then it starts to learn my interests. I'll make a very simple comparison. If anybody watches, let's say, Netflix at home, and they watch a movie on Netflix and it says, you put that movie on, here's 5 more you might like, right? And it's the same idea that, hey, here's a bunch of cards based on prior purchases and prior browsing that I've done, that it thinks they're going to want to see the 61 mantle or the 57 mantle or perhaps the Cracker Jack Shoeless Joe card, whatever else is out there, that all conforms to my hobby preferences. We'll come back to those guys in a second. And then down beneath there, and you're going to see cards, high bid count cards where there's a lot of action going on right now on those cards. And again, very scrollable side to side, or some high value cards. Here's a couple $1 million+ cards and so on and so forth, including that really awesome Joe Jackson kind of pre-rookie minor league card that's sitting at the Legacy Cards inventory right now for $1 million, a cool mill, as we'll say. And then what you have the ability to do here, Leighton, is just search for anything. So the way we search is just putting an advanced button in here and say, I want to search for, I want to find, find a Topps Ernie Banks card from 1954. Let's say we'll pick up a rookie card. We want to go and search for all the different companies. So you'll see this is a list of some of the companies that we're supporting now from A to Z, literally from Scott Brockleman's Brockleman Auctions down to Wheatland and everybody in the middle, as well as being able to pick just auctions, just buy it now marketplaces. Maybe you want specifically an autographed item from him, or maybe you want a ticket stub reflecting a big game of his, whatever it might be. You could also now begin to identify in a different type of search, like Pokemon cards or Magic the Gathering cards as well. Maybe you collect only certain grades or graders, so we support all the grade and graders. Maybe you have specific min and max prices, or if not, just go do a wide search. So I'm going to just simply apply a search to this the way I entered it. And we're going to see in this case, we found 255 different 1954 Ernie Banks cards that are all currently available in the market right now. And you'll see if I can change the order from high price first to low price first to ending soon to whatever it might be, to recently added. And you're going to see if I start to pan through these where these cards are coming from. So we're picking up some cards on the top from eBay. If I was to scroll down, let's go. In fact, let's see who else is out there beside eBay. Let's just turn off eBay for a minute, and we'll see what else we find. So we still found 9 more cards that are not currently at eBay. So we found Legacy Cards. Ash's collection has a few. We found Golden has one nice one here. There's one from Heritage. Scroll down a little further. REA has some of these cards. So you're going to see whoever's got the cards in the market right now available for sale or auction, we're going to be able to find and see. And at that point, we could choose to explore this card a little bit. So maybe I'll click on this very first one, this SGC6 that's listed right now at Legacy Cards for $4,000. I could click on him. I could get a little better look at the card, maybe a closer look still. I could certainly read about the card. Maybe there's a description. We also use our AI system to write further descriptions about this card to kind of further contextualize it. And we could choose to do a few things at this point, Leighton. We could either choose to buy or bid on that card. This is a marketplace or a dealer card, so it's buy on the site versus bidding. So let's just say I wanted to go ahead and buy this card from Ash. all I need to do is hit the big green button, and it drops me, in this case, into Legacy Cards website. I could go choose to go buy that Ernie Banks card. So like you made the comparison earlier to say, like, this is very much the same model as some of these other types of aggregator sites. Think of like the airline business, right? Where we talked about Expedia or Kayak or one of these other websites that you can go buy a plane ticket on. So Leighton, if you were going to fly today from New Jersey out to Chicago to go to the National, and you want to go line up a ticket, you might want to say, okay, go find my options to get me to Chicago. I'm going to put that search in kayak.com. It's going to say there's an American flight, a Delta flight, and a JetBlue flight. Click on the American flight, you go click, it takes you to the American website to go buy the airplane ticket. It's the exact same model. At the end of the day, in the case of cards, we found that neither sellers nor buyers really want AuctionWire to be in the middle of that transaction. So we just take ourselves out of it. What we do really well is play matchmaker between the buyer and the seller. So in this case, we have the ability to find anything that's out there. But maybe,
yeah, Mark, can you show us an Ernie Banks that is available at auction, not on eBay, from one of those right there?
Yeah, so
I want to show the community how that works.
So here's a golden one, and here's a heritage one. So let's take the golden one. So here it's right now sitting $500. Say bid on the auction site. Click down here. It takes this. This one is $500 because it hasn't actually opened yet. It's still in preview for a little while longer. And we will be able to get to that and find that card when it becomes more available. But we found it here because it's already listed in their data. If we go, let's say, to Heritage, this one is sitting at only $100 right now. It's only an SGC Authentic. We say bid on auction site. It'll come drop us into, in this case, Heritage. And we could turn around, choose to see that card here. We see the listing here. There's 9 days left to go on the sale. And we could choose to place a bid or not.
So what I like about this, Mark, is already I can see that even if you're someone who, maybe occasionally uses eBay, but for the sake of this Ernie Banks search, we've decided to not include eBay in the search. Yep. You're still coming up with several Ernie Banks rookies that are available across not just various auction platforms, but even one on Legacy, which is Ash's site.
Yep.
And so really, I can tell you firsthand, because I was one of the folks along with Mark as a co-founder that recognized that this is really a big problem in sports cars, that even though the hobby is growing at a rapid pace, we're becoming increasingly fragmented as that growth continues to unfold and happen. And so what I really appreciate is that even something as simple as an Ernie Banks rookie, which is not a rare card, it's a valuable one, but not rare, that in a matter of just a few seconds, I can find and compare Ernie Banks cards are across several platforms. And I can tell you that would absolutely take at least several minutes, if not longer. Then you have to manage multiple want lists, wish lists, so on and so forth. And just because I know we would cover this at the end, but I want to make sure, because we didn't actually mention how much AuctionWire costs. So beyond the trial period, AuctionWire is $10 a month. Yep. It's $100 annually. And so whether it be you're a coffee drinker or a candy eater, you see, or to be fair, if you eat eggs, right, $10 goes pretty fast these days. The point is, we feel like we're providing you, the community, a lot of value for that $10. And even in just this Ernie Banks search, I know it would absolutely take several minutes not to just come up with the different Ernie Banks rookies that are available, but then to actually keep track of them across several different platforms is really a burdensome task. So I think this is a great exercise in seeing how it works just through the lens of an Ernie Banks rookie.
Yep. And then, Leighton, just to finish this idea, let's just say that none of these 9 are appealing to us for whatever reason.
Sure.
We have the ability to hit save over here, just type in, Ernie Banks and save it. So now we have a saved search. And this is, as you called out earlier, a universal save search. And so this will go out, this will continue to go out and monitor every website that we have a connection to. And should that 10th Ernie Banks card show up or the 11th Ernie Banks card show up in any one of those, it'll immediately reach out to us and say, hey, we found you a new one. And more interestingly, or if it's in an auction format, it'll say, hey, this one you already found is in an auction and it's ending like in an hour. Don't miss out. Go take another look.
And it's really valuable.
Yeah, it's doing the legwork for us. We don't have to sit there and continue to go from website to website or from want list to want list or whatever it might be. This is really about, hey, you go out software and monitor the entire network of companies and find the cards that I want, whether it be they're readily available or they come up once a year. And when they come up, let me be amongst the first people to find out about it and the last people to have that last moment of opportunity at the end of the auction to go take action before I miss out.
Well, you bring up a good point, Mark. I just want to clarify for folks that are listening or watching. So for auctions, you're right. You want to be there at the end because you don't want to miss. However, with, let's say, REA's marketplace, with Memory Lane's marketplace,
Yep.
with Legacy Cards website, meaning Ash's inventory, with eBay's Buy It Now, you and I both know that there is great inventory being sold, not at auction.
Yep.
And in that case, you'd actually want to be the first to
Right.
find out about that.
Right.
And so that's why Universal Watch List is so important, because if you get that notification that REA's sale, to be fair, let me back up for a second. So Memory Lane kind of runs their Own It Now a little bit different than REA. Memory Lane runs it as like a 10 or 12 day or 14 day period where you can buy these goods or these cards for sale at a fixed price. But theoretically, REA, they launch their items once a week or a few items a week. It would take a lot of effort to stay on top of that if you didn't have some sort of tool, and the tool being AuctionWire, to do that work for you. And so that's what I really love. And Mark, I remember when we first envisioned AuctionWire, we recently just added Legacy Cards and Ash. He's our first quote unquote dealer. And so shout out to him and JB and his whole team. Really a great group of guys. And we're so happy to not just add him and his inventory, but the whole notion that this software, this tool called AuctionWire, is going to continue to not just get better. It's going to become more robust. It's going to become more exciting for all of us to use. And especially in this early adaptation process, we've already got feedback from the community that's literally been turned around. And so one of those pieces of feedback I would like to touch upon now. So we had a few folks, including our really good buddy Ryan, and say, well, what if I also want to buy tickets?
Mm-hmm.
What if I also want to buy autographs? And then my cousin really likes Pokemon. So tell me, does AuctionWire have the ability to search for things besides just sports cards?
Yep. So let me show you. We'll go back to that advanced search screen again where we were before. And now if you look here, we touched upon a little bit a while ago, we have what we call a collectible type. And right now the original group here is I want autographs, tickets, cards, sports cards, TCG cards, or even specifically vintage ticket stubs. So for example, if I was just to lock in on tickets and ticket stubs, like you were talking about for our friend Ryan, let's turn off cards. Let's just keep tickets and stubs on. And let's go ahead and do a search here for, I don't know, Mickey Mantle ticket stub. And come down here and apply our filter. You'll see in a moment what we'll find. We're going to find 279 game ticket stubs, all pertinent to Mickey Mantle. So just for argument's sake, we'll pick one of these off the top. We'll get this guy here. The example is a 1951 Mickey Mantle debut game ticket, graded a PSA 1.5. But we found that in 2 seconds flat by searching for tickets. And if we didn't like that one, there's 278 more just like it for sale on AuctionWire as well, both in eBay
and Mark, I just want to clarify, will the tickets and the wish list and the want list work the same for tickets as it does for sports cards?
Yes, 100% the same.
That's great. Well, this is very, very exciting. To move off of tickets for a minute and to go back to sports cards, because I know that you and I, and let's say a shout out to our friends from For Collectors, we're all like those vintage card nerds. But there is much more to collecting than just vintage cards. Yep. And I did see an Ohtani card earlier, so it makes me beg the question, does AuctionWire actually help me find some modern sports cards as well? Like, for example, I personally collect Ohtani and Jordan, a little bit of Luka. Can AuctionWire help me with that?
Yeah, and we're continuing to broaden the data set. And so we're bringing on companies now that even specialize in modern and ultra-modern. And so from that perspective, you're going to see a very balanced inventory in AuctionWire. You're going to see a lot of the vintage stuff, modern and ultra-modern stuff, all the sports and non-sports. And so we're trying to be as broad of a picture as we can be so that no matter where you sit in the hobby, you have a lot of representative information in this product. And so it doesn't matter old or new, sports or non-sports, you're going to find plenty of it out there.
That's fantastic. And I know you were referencing some of the other ways to search, but shout out to my friend Sharon from Black Jade Wolf. She's a leading Pokemon dealer. My company, Just Collect, even dabbles in Pokemon cards. Our guy Sam is our resident expert here. So can you maybe do a Pokemon search just for those that are kind of curious? Because there is a lot of crossover these days between sports and TCG cards.
Yep. So I'll just pick TCG off the list. And instead of looking for Mickey Mantle, let's look for this person, do a broad Pokemon search. Just type Pokemon. And we're going to say, what do we got? It's going out there now. It's found over 5 million things related to Pokemon at this point. So that's a lot. So let's replace Pokemon.
Can you put in Charizard? Put in Charizard.
Sure.
I know a little bit about Pokemon, not a lot.
So we'll find Charizard stuff. So it's found 111,000 things related to Charizard.
Wow, that's still a lot. Okay.
Yep. So we could continue to narrow things down. We could find high price stuff or low price stuff.
I only want PSA 10s.
Okay, so let's go take a look. Let's go down and pick, say, look for a 10 and say we want specifically PSA 10. Come down here and apply my filter.
So I just want to make mention there, folks, you do have to click apply filter. It's important.
Yep. So it's gone out and it's found things that are all designated as PSA 10 Pokemon card or Charizard cards now. And so we can continue to see a bunch of different examples here. And we could lock in on any one of these if we wanted to. So we could designate grade and grading company. We could designate price range. We might say, you know what? I only want to find Charizard cards under $2,500 or whatever it is that you're looking for. You can mix and match all these different search parameters until you get to exactly just the things that are most important to you as a collector.
That's fantastic. And if you had to say approximately so far, Mark, how many platforms, including private dealers like Ash, and I know Just Collect's upcoming as well, approximately how many platforms are we offering information from, meaning they have cards for sale, and what are we bringing? How many platforms are we bringing to AuctionWire today?
Right now, it's just shy of 30.
Okay.
And we're moving very quickly to have about 50. 50 is we're not going to rest until we believe we have all of them. And right now, our game plan in the near term over the next 30 to 45 days is to get as close to 50 different companies as we can. And then at that point, kind of catch our breath and say, who else is out there? And what Leighton, one of the things we have the benefit of is that people who are, our friends in the system using the tool, they might say, hey, why don't you have so-and-so auction company or so-and-so dealer, or so-and-so marketplace in here? And then it's just, easy enough to go, work out an arrangement to get that company's data in here as well. And so we grow by request, we grow by companies that we know of, but Leighton, make no mistake, we're going to have, 50 or more in the near term. And right now we're sitting at just shy of 30.
Well, I'm really excited about what the future holds for us. Speaking of the future, I'm curious if we're able to comment on just maybe a couple of the features that are coming soon so we can give people a sneak peek. I think that would be really, really cool.
Absolutely. So, think about it this way, Leighton. If we could talk about kind of a version 1, version 2, and then a future version of AuctionWire. For us, version 1 was really an experiment to say, can we take data from 20, 30, 40, 50 companies and combine it in a way that makes sense to a collector? And we're really close to delivering on that promise at this point. So the next level up from there is where we start to get more sophisticated, where we ask ourselves the question of, okay, now we have all the data. What can we build on top of the data that has value to a collector? And there's a few things that we're working on, a couple of which are in the near term, which I'll talk more about here. The first one I could show on my screen. Think about this way, Leighton. You and I both know, and I'm sure that your followers know this all too well also, keeping track of what auctions are happening. When do they open? When do they close? Did I miss it? Is it not yet? Who's got what? And so we're building an auction calendar right on the screen here. So if you see my screen, I'm going to click on auction calendar and say, just show me the companies who are open right now for having currently available auctions. And so you'll see companies like Golden and Heritage and Hunt and Collector Connection have an REA opened yesterday. And so you'll see that we have companies that are all live now. And for any one of these, we now have a little button on the side that says, you know what, I really want to just see collector connection. They click on the little view button here, and it drops me to the collector connections auction.
That's cool.
Live on the site, right? So I have this ability to use my calendar to find out what's out there right now. And you're going to see, I also can know what's coming up. So Sirius is going
to
be
that.
In 3
Helps
days.
You plan, Mark. That's a really good feature.
Exactly. We see Huggins and Scott's coming back in 6 days. Mile High's coming back in 6 days. Who else is kind of unique down here? Memory Lane's coming back after a while off in a couple of weeks, right? So we have those. And just for the fun of it, we go, so also, what did I miss? These are all the auctions that happened earlier this year as well. So
see, I don't want to see that, Mark, because that's going to make me cry.
But then let's pay attention to the active and upcoming. Right, so we know that these are all in the system right now. So an auction calendar, which again is going to be right up on the top of my screen here, is the very first addition we're making. Maybe as or more important, Leighton, understanding scarcity of cards is important. And especially when you're making a buying decision, is this card a rare card or a very frequently seen card? So pop data, population data is really important. And so we went out and we made a very strategic alliance deal with our friends at GemRate. If you guys know GemRate, a very authoritative data provider around population information. And so we're going to be having a universal pop report that spans PSA, SGC, Beckett, and CGC for every graded card in the system. And right now we're sitting at north of 24 million cards inside AuctionWire.
Can you show us an example of that?
It's not wired up for this right now, so no.
I didn't know. I don't want to press my luck, so I'm going to try to expand upon that just for a second for those that want maybe a little bit better of a visual. We don't have one available, but it will be shortly.
Yep.
Gang, this is really exciting and very powerful because I can't tell you how much time I spend looking up the pop report of said card.
Right.
And so not only is the universal pop report going to be available for the card you're looking at, either at auction or in a marketplace for sale at fixed price, but it's also going to show you through a shaded out color. I don't know the color yet. Maybe we'll have a vote for what color that should be. But joking aside, it's going to shade out for you. Let's say you're bidding on a PSA 4 of a Babe Ruth Gaudy number 144. Not only will it give you the universal pop report, but it's going to hone in on that PSA 4 you have. And where does your card you're bidding on fall on the pop report chart? So kudos to you, Mark, and the team. And then obviously a special shout out to GemRate. We really appreciate that we were able to form a partnership with them. I mean, Mark, this is just the tip of the iceberg, but this is really exciting stuff.
Yeah, no, and it's just the beginning, Leighton. We're going to go in a million other directions as well down the road. The sky's the limit. Once we have a good foundation of data, we could build on top of that in 20 different directions. And I think that gets more and more exciting. This will shift our vision from a very robust search tool to an all-in-one collector's portal where they can get all their data, all their analytics, all their reporting, all their trending data.
Yeah, something like a Bloomberg terminal. Sounds good to me.
Exactly. That was the kind of the long-term vision that we had, and we're marching toward that goal right now.
Sure. Mark, if I may ask, if someone, let's say, is on the fence, because we don't have an 800 number, we don't have a phone number they can call per se, because we just use ourselves. But if they wanted to drop us a line, they wanted to send us an email, what email should they send a question to if they either want to sign up, but they're, want to get two or three things clarified, or they're a current user and they want to give us some feedback or have some questions? What's the best email they should reach out to us at?
I'm hungry for feedback. And I just devour it when people share it. And sometimes it's great feedback, sometimes it's suggestions, sometimes it's complaints. But at the end of the day, I want to hear all of it. And the best way to do that is to contact me directly. And I share my email address with your followers. And I hope they use it. It's Mark with a C, MARC at auctionwire.ai. If you write to me at mark@auctionwire.ai, I will respond to every email that comes in. If there are things you want me to help you with, we'll jump on a quick Zoom call together and I'll take you through how to do it and we'll figure it out together. I want to be helpful to you and I want to be accessible to you, Leighton, and to your audience. And so mark@auctionwire.ai is the best shortcut to get to me no matter what time or day it is.
Folks, if you want to try what I believe to be the best new tool introduced to the hobby in the last 12 months, give it a try at auctionwire.ai. The code for a 60-day free trial is TCT, as in Trading Card Therapy. You heard Mark. If you have any questions, you can email him directly, mark@auctionwire.ai. And if you decide you just simply want to come by the National and say hi, both Mark and myself and my entire Just Collect team will be at the Just Collect booth. AuctionWire will also be set up with us, giving demos, t-shirts, and all sorts of fun, free swag. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today. This was a pleasure.
Thank you, Leighton, and thank you everybody for listening. And it's good to share the story with you.
Absolutely. Well, folks, that's it for episode number 121. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoy hobby content like this, please make sure you subscribe to our channel. See you real soon.